At Jennings Wing Cars, we're always looking for the latest acquisition. I'm happy to announce we've kind of received a new one that's in our dreams for many years. We have been able to acquire a 4-speed Hemi Superbird, originally a 4-speed Hemi Superbird. We've been able to buy it. So I thought what we'd do is we'll do a walk around, an explanation, a history of the bird. This isn't it, sorry. Let me go I got the wrong one. Sorry about that. This is it. You know, the only way I can tell the difference, there's two ways. Looking at the wheels, the one I was just standing beside had Steelies with poverty caps or dog dish caps. This one has rally wheels. And of course, under the engine, the one I was just at is a 446 barrel 4-speed. This one's a 426 Hemi 4-speed. So let me talk about this one a little bit. This car was sold new in 1970 out in the Los Angeles area of California. Very rare 426 Hemi 4-speed. If you're knowledgeable, it's called an R code. That's the code in the VIN that tells you it's a Hemi originally. We do have a build sheet. We do have the paperwork. I've got everything that you need that goes with the car. At some point, the individual that owned the car yanked the engine and transmission and sold it to a guy with a Dodge Charger 500. I'm still looking for that engine and transmission, by the way. Okay, so he sold it. They put a 440 in here. They did a bunch of other stuff. For example, when sold new, the original owner owned a construction company and he wanted air conditioning. So the original dealer that sold the car installed air conditioning on here, cut holes in the firewall, and ran air for a few years. The second owner then got rid of that, restored it back, fixed the firewall, and restored everything the way it was. Somewhere around 1980, after going through 2 or 3 hands, the individual that owned the car took it apart in 1980. A couple of years goes by, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. A couple of more years go by, and on and on and on. I actually have the actual license plate the last time it was titled out in California here in the shop. Okay, in the year 2000, it went up for sale, and an individual out in the Salt Lake, Utah area bought it. Very wealthy car collector who knew how hard it was to buy or even find a 4-speed Hemi Superbird. You know, they only made about 135, maybe 177. They only made 100-some Hemi Superbirds, and the 4-speed version, very rare. Okay, so he buys it unassembled, ships it to his shop in Salt Lake City, where his son-in-law is an automotive restoration expert. Over the next, let's say 5 years, they meticulously restored this car because the individual that had bought it owned like 70 cars and liked to restore them to what's called concours d'elegance level, which is a level beyond crazy. All right, so his son-in-law slowly restoring the car, obtaining original parts, not remanufactured parts, original assembly line parts, and slowly reassembles the parts. Then he slowly works on the car. There's no damage on the car. There's no rust on the car. There's a little bit of fixing that had to be done, the nose primarily. And he paints it to a level of perfection that is beyond belief, the level of the paint depth. He also coats every single part with various protective items to keep it from rusting. Okay, suddenly the gentleman that owns the car in 2017 dies. Very suddenly he dies. And the car is kind of lost. It's sitting in a warehouse his wife didn't know about, and it sat there for several years, from 2017 until, I don't know, around 2021, somewhere around in there, 2020, 2021, when one day they get a call, hey, we've got 30 of your cars in this warehouse. They didn't even know about it. So they go over to the warehouse, they find all the cars, they sell all the cars, but this one. About 2 years, a year and a half ago, the son-in-law, the restoration expert, contacts me. He says, Bob, I see you own a whole bunch of Superbirds. You seem to know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. He says, give me a value on the car. So I gave him a value of the car. It's very hard to value a Hemi 4-speed Superbird. Most of them sell via private hands rather than auction. But I chart every Superbird that goes through an auction and every one I know. So I gave him a value, but I said, here's the problem. The car looks magnificent. It was at the level you're seeing it right here, but it did not have the nose on it. The nose had major damage, lots of putty. It needed repair, repainting, and installation. I'll do mechanic work, but I won't do body work. And I said, without the nose, you can't really sell it in an auction. So with the nose on it, here is what I think it would bring. And I told him, I said, it'll bring a Hemi 4-speed Superbird at this level. You could be talking a 7-figure car. I don't know, but you could be. But I said, without the nose, it's going to be hard to sell the car. And I said, here's what I think it would be without the nose. Then he said, great, thank you. About 3 days passed. He contacts me. He said, the widow says she has no psychological relationship to the car, doesn't want the car, doesn't care about the car. Would you be willing to buy the car at the price you said it was worth without the nose? I don't ever want anyone to say I took advantage of them. And I put in writing, I said, again, I am telling you, spend the 20 or 30 grand to get the nose redone, repainted, and assembled. I'll even give you the guy to send it to, Mark Sakula at Magnum Restoration. Send it to them, get it done, and the car will bring this much instead of what I'm offering. And he said she just wants to wash her hands of it. We came to an oral agreement based upon an inspection. I flew out to Salt Lake City along with Mark Sakula. I wanted to verify everything. It was beyond belief quality. The problem was there was no title to the car. The guy that had bought it 10 years earlier was dead. And that guy was so wealthy, they had already filed final estate tax returns with the federal government in the state of Utah. The estate was closed. We had to petition the state of Utah to reopen the state. The widow had to file amended tax returns, pay the tax on the value. Once that is done, she tries to apply for a title. They won't let her get the title. She has to have a bonded insurance policy written. Needless to say, over a year later of paperwork, finally we're able to get the car. We sent the car immediately up to Mark Sakula at Magnum that I said, this is not an ad for anything. And I told Mark, put it on and do as good a job as was done before. He added, I don't know, 2 months or something, putting the nose on. When I went and picked it up here a month or two ago, he laughed. He said, this is the most, I'm not going to use any of those words. He just said, this is incredibly over-restored. He said, this must be what the level that they do on these Concours to Elegance, you know, like a 1934 Cord or something like that. So we get it here in the shop. We take it to a show literally 2 days later, local show just right up the street. And driving back, we notice there's several electrical issues. Nothing major, but the tail lights didn't work. The turn signals didn't work. Brake lights didn't work. The backup lights didn't work. The horn didn't work. For the last 2 weeks, we've been tracing electrical issues. Every single one of them has been tied to the levels of paint thickness being so much that it wasn't grounding properly. The tail lights, the turn signals, the brake lights, all a grounding issue. The backup lights, my gosh, did we have to pull. I mean, I used to have a whole lot of hair 3 weeks ago, but believe that or not. Well, I pulled all my hair out trying to chase that one. So we fixed everything on the back. Everything's working good except the horn. Over the weekend, I traced the horn wasn't grounding because the paint is so thick. I've solved that. We traced it all the way back to the horn relay inside the car. It's the first thing I've found that's a problem. The horn relay's bad. I'm not going to put an aftermarket. I've spent the bucks to get a new one. So what we're going to do now, this is an original R code 4-speed Hemi Superbird with 8 miles on the odometer. Yes, they redid all that. Okay, I don't want to mislead you, but it's got 8 miles. I do drive the cars, although this one would be kind of stringent. All right, well, folks, I appreciate you guys watching. Until I see you again next time, for all of us here at Jennings Wing Cars, Jason Fruits, our video expert, myself, Bob Jennings, thank you. See you again. Say hello if you see me. Thanks.